I asked you in my office also about whether Palestinians have the right of self-determination. My understanding was you said yes. Do you have a different answer today?
That was not the direct question that we discussed. I said the Palestinian people.
You believe that Palestinians have the right of self-determination?
I believe the Palestinian people deserve so much better than the failures that they've had
from
terrorist leadership.
It's just a pretty simple question.
And I believe we need peace in the region. Of course, they deserve human rights.
So
I want to ensure that, number one, we bring the hostages home.
So do all of us. Representative Stefanik, let me just ask you. I have 30 seconds left. I'm rarely surprised by answers in my office, but I did ask you whether you subscribe to the views of Finance Minister Smotrich.
Of who? I'm sorry,
Smotrich. This is the Israeli Finance Minister Smotrich and the former National Security Minister Ben-Gvir, who believe that Israel has a biblical right to the entire West Bank. And in that conversation, you told me that, yes, you shared that view. Is that your view today?
Yes.
So there you have it. Elise Stefanik, not even pretending to believe that Palestinians have the right to self-determination. Now, that is usually something that people pretend that they believe in, even though they don't actually make it possible, even though they don't provide any kind of like policy follow-up. They at least pay lip service to these very basic ideas of democracy, self-determination, blah, blah, blah. But she doesn't even do that. It's actually, maybe she's more honest than the other people.
Oh, well, she's so much more honest because that is the policy in Washington, bipartisan, to deny Palestinians the right to self-determination. That is the official policy. That's been every single president. No one has ever done anything remotely in the direction of granting Palestinians their minimal right to self-determination. Nothing. So she's playing the policy, but it's just amazing that she feels comfortable admitting to it because if you're such a racist that you can't even pretend to support someone's right to self-determination, it just says a lot. But she doesn't care because she's so committed to Israel. And that line there where she's like, when she's asked if she supports Palestine's right to self-determination, she says they deserve so much more, right, than what they currently have. Okay, well, how about self-determination? Do they deserve that? The answer is no, no. In her eyes, they don't. And and this, by the way, this is the fundamental problem. This is that right there. That answer from her crystallizes why we have a Middle East conflict to begin with. It's because Israel, with U.S. support, is devoted to denying Palestinians the right to self-determination. That's what it's all about. That's where it all starts from. Both parties. So both parties are guilty for this, but Elise Stefanik represents that extreme wing that is so committed to this policy that they're open and willing to flaunt that they just will not grant Palestinians the right to their own land, in their own ancestral homeland that was stolen from them.
So maybe she's qualified for the job because maybe she's more honest than everyone else. And of course, Elise Stefanik is not honest. I mean, she's doing an obvious pivot away from this, kind of a deflection, but she won't say that they deserve self-determination. And she's also a reminder, she's one of the people who went after the university administrations for being anti-Semitic. And she did that in a really dishonest way. So she's at least consistent. But Elise Stefanik is not the only person who has interesting things to say about Israel and Palestine. Let's take a look at the guy who's pushing for her, Donald Trump, President Trump. Here is Trump talking about what he sees as the future for Gaza.
Gaza, boy, I looked at a picture of Gaza. Gaza is like a massive demolition site. That place it's really got to be rebuilt in a different way.
Do you plan to help rebuilding Gaza?
I might. Gaza is interesting. It's a phenomenal location. On the sea, best weather. Everything's good. It's like some beautiful things could be done with it, but it's very interesting. But some fantastic things could be done with Gaza.
There you have it. Trump making it quite plain that he's excited about some potential rebuilding of Gaza, maybe hinting at some real estate opportunities. And that should come as no surprise because, of course, his son-in-law also mentioned that it has wonderful beachfront property. And here's an interesting tidbit of news from Lever News. Days before the ceasefire, Jared Kushner doubled his stake in an Israeli firm invested in illegal settlements in the West Bank and Golan Heights. Now Trump is interested in rebuilding Gaza, a phenomenal location right on the sea, the best weather. That's maybe one of the differences between Trump and Biden. I think that, Biden was really motivated by a racist Zionism. true ideologue, and Trump is motivated by real estate interests, and of course being funded by Miriam Adelson. But I think mostly real estate. Yeah.
What a choice.
What
The
a choice.
bigot,
Yeah.
the bigot versus the profiteer.
Right.
Of course, Palestinians lose no matter what, and so does the rest of the world, because no matter what, all this fuels is conflict and carnage.
Right. And, I feel like, Aaron, you're not really recognizing Trump in all his humanity. He, too, is a bigot. You're right. There is the element of war profiteering, but we should remember that he, of course, called Biden a Palestinian as a smear.
Very
Yeah.
true. Very true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I don't want to deny Trump his bigotry. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? Continuing on the theme of bigots talking about Palestine, let's look at this controversy this week when Elon Musk, who has been upstaging President Trump over the course of the last several weeks since Trump's election, Elon Musk caused a new stir when he gave what many interpreted to be a Nazi salute. It did look like a Nazi salute to me. What happened in the immediate aftermath? Well, people who love to accuse anyone and anything of anti-Semitism, if it is critical of Israel, rushed, of course, to defend Elon Musk. For example, the Anti-Defamation League, which put out this really long-winded statement urging everyone to take a step back and give Elon Musk a break. This is some of what the ADL said. This is a delicate moment. It's a new day, yet so many are on edge. Our politics are inflamed, and social media only adds to the anxiety. It seems Elon Musk made an awkward gesture in a moment of enthusiasm, not a Nazi salute. But again, we appreciate the people are on edge, blah, blah, blah. To be honest with you, I actually strongly doubt personally that Elon Musk meant to give a Nazi salute. I do think he's an awkward guy. I do think, he does have some, far right views. So it's possible that subconsciously there is like a Nazi salute in him. But I don't think that was like certainly a conscious thing on his part. But regardless, it's just so funny that the ADL, which like screams anti-Semitism at college students protesting genocide, just rushes to give this like nuanced take about Elon defending him. And why do they do that? It's because Elon Musk has kissed the ring ever since Elon Musk got in trouble about some anti-Semitic things he said on Twitter, and then basically to repent, became a stooge of the ADL and went to Auschwitz with Ben Shapiro and just tried to do PR to cover up for the fact that he had posted anti-Semitic messages, including going after the ADL. He had talked about them as a problem because they were trying to undermine his ad revenue on Twitter/X. So here, for example, is the headline from Musk's visit to Auschwitz. Elon Musk visits Auschwitz after uproar over anti-Semitic messages on X. And I should say, I can't remember if the messages were directed at the ADL, but certainly he was mad at the ADL because they were then using that controversy to undermine his ad revenue. And that's what the ADL does, is they do shakedowns. Like they basically threaten to accuse you of being an anti-Semite unless you give them money and do what they want, which is kiss the ring of Israel, which is exactly what Elon Musk did. He went over and met with Benjamin Netanyahu. They toured sites of October 7th, spread false claims about what actually happened on October 7th, and basically did the manufacturing consent for genocide that the ADL does.
Yeah, I actually think that Elon Musk was probably intentionally doing this, but as a trolling exercise. I think he knew that there would be this a response. I think it's useful, though, extremely useful, because it does highlight the ADL's hypocrisy. And, look, just so people have a sense of the kinds of comments that he did make on Twitter, the kinds of comments that got the ADL mad at him, he did say, he did post back in November of 2023, he posted, Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. And his post also referred to hordes of minorities flooding Western countries. He quote tweeted that and said, "You have said the actual truth." But as you said, Aaron, it's very useful to look at how the ADL doesn't care about anti-Semitism, because surely, if they did, they'd be more worried about the potential for Elon to have done that. And the biggest point is that they don't give anyone the benefit of the doubt. In fact, there's actually footage of Jonathan Greenblatt, the head of the ADL, comparing keffiyehs to swastikas.
Yeah, they had some database where they counted anti-Semitic incidents, and they basically count any expression of protest against the genocide in Gaza as anti-Semitic. So, I mean, they have less than zero credibility.
Yeah. And, we should also give credit to people like Batya Unger Sargon, who is at Newsweek. She is a very proud Zionist, and she was happy to come to the defense of Elon Musk. She said of Elon Musk, as a person with a strong track record of criticizing Elon Musk, I feel extremely confident asserting that this was not a Nazi salute. Elon Musk is a friend to the Jews. This is a man with Asperger's exuberantly throwing his heart to the crowd. We don't need to invent outrage. But that's interesting because Batya was very quick to invent outrage at another point. I don't know if people remember the director, Jonathan Glazer, the director of Zone of Interest, this excellent film. At the Oscars, his acceptance speech said, "Right now, we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation which has led to conflict for so many innocent people." Well, you know how Batya responded to that? She tweeted out, "I simply cannot fathom the moral rot in someone's soul that leads them to win an award for a movie about the Holocaust, and with the platform given to them to accept that award by saying, 'We stand here as men who refute their Jewishness.'" So she somehow doesn't give them the benefit of the doubt of literally reading their full sentence.
But we are equal opportunity here. And so do you want to know who else I think has no credibility on the issue of white supremacy and Nazis? Democrats, because of what they've done in Ukraine by supporting literal white supremacists and neo-Nazis. And one of them is named Chris Murphy. Let's first of all, before we get at this record in Ukraine, let's hear what he had to say about Elon Musk and this controversy.
And listen, what I think is so dangerous about this broader moment is that there are these signals being sent to really dangerous, fringe, violent groups on the right. Fringe right groups, white supremacists, neo-Nazis, that Trump's with you. The pardons essentially were a message that there is immunity for political violence. And all throughout Telegram and far-right channels on Monday night, that Musk neo-Nazi salute was being amplified as evidence.
Nick Fuentes thinks it was a Nazi salute.
I mean, Proud Boys, other groups saying Trump's got our back, right? The white, the white supremacy cause is back in vogue, and that makes for an explosive moment politically and physically in our political space right now.
Okay, so that's Chris Murphy, talking about white supremacy on the right, how it's supported, and there's a lot of truth to that. But I don't think he has any credibility on this topic because in Ukraine, where Murphy was part of the U.S. delegation in December 2013 that encouraged regime change, Murphy cavorted with literal white supremacists and neo-Nazis. This, for example, is a photo of him and John McCain with one of them. So the man there on the far right of the screen and also on the far right of the political spectrum is named Ole Tanyabuk. He was leader at the time of Ukraine's Svoboda party. And what is Svoboda? Well, it's a party that the European Parliament, just 1 year before this picture was taken, had denounced as, quote, racist, anti-Semitic, and xenophobic, and urged any politician, quote, not to associate with, endorse, or form coalitions with. And that's because people like Tanyabuk had said things like, we have to fight the, quote, Muscovite Jewish mafia running Ukraine, okay? And Chris Murphy went and cavorted with this guy, appeared with him on stage, and supported what became a coup in Ukraine just a few months later. And has Chris Murphy ever apologized for this? No. He's actually just supported groups like Svoboda and their allies, including in the Azov battalion. The Biden administration last year, they lifted a State Department ban on arming the Azov battalion, which is a neo-Nazi paramilitary group. And just to illustrate, the hypocrisy of all this and like where liberal Western culture has whitewashed white supremacists inside Ukraine, just compare two Guardian headlines from different points in time. Look at this image here. At the top of the screen, that's a headline from 2018 in The Guardian. Neo-Nazi groups recruit Britons to fight in Ukraine. Okay. That's 2018 in The Guardian. This headline was from this month, so 2025 in The Guardian. Same topic of neo-Nazis recruiting foreigners to fight in Ukraine, But look at how they've changed it. Ukraine's highest profile combat unit to recruit English-speaking soldiers. And that unit is the same aforementioned neo-Nazi group, which is the Azov Battalion.
What changed, Aaron?
What changed was Russia invaded finally in February 2022. And then after that, you couldn't say anymore that we were supporting neo-Nazis inside of Ukraine, or that the cyber war inside Ukraine was neo-Nazis. That's what's changed. So, and this includes, by the way, people like AOC, who's been leading the charge and calling out the hypocrisy around Elon. And fair enough, like I agree with her in going after the ADL. She's made some very good points, but she also has said nothing about the fact that we're arming neo-Nazis inside of Ukraine. And this doesn't mean that every military force in Ukraine is neo-Nazi. They are a minority, but they're a very strong minority, as is exemplified by the fact that Chris Murphy was on stage with one of their leaders back in 2013.